there, welcome back to the Ginescast. I'm your host, Gina Annunziato. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm into week 4 of this podcast. I think it's going pretty well. I'm enjoying doing it, and I'm enjoying reading everything you guys are telling me. I really have always liked the fact that you folks who listen provide your own insights. It's not just agreeing with me or whatever, or not liking what I have to say, but I get to hear all sorts of different sides from many different people, and I really appreciate that, and I'd love to have even more of that going forward. So I'll keep going if you keep listening. So here we go with the Ginescast episode 4, Get Off My Fence. From the time I was a kid, everyone would always tell me that I'm opinionated. I always had a thing to say about nearly everything, and I never really backed down from anything. I would say something, and no matter what response I would get, I would always have to be right. I would always have to be the one who was the loudest about everything. That kind of translated to my rants when I came on YouTube as a 24-year-old Gines, I guess. I would just let my thoughts fly into the camera, kind of without fear of repercussion. Well, maybe not total fear. There was still some fear there that I would say something that people didn't like. But for the most part, I feel like I came out with pretty strong, staunch opinions about nonsense now that I look back on it. But over the years, I learned to not be so forthcoming with everything that I was thinking all the time. It kind of became thinking that not everybody, I guess, deserved to hear all the cool things I have to say. Maybe not hearing my true inner workings all the time, but I could give certain opinions on certain things. I believe that there are some things in this world that are reserved for a large crowd, and then there are the things that you share with, only a select few, or maybe that one person in your life, should he or she exist. But here on the internet, people are very forthcoming with their information. Sometimes that comes in the form of jokes that are rough in a way. Maybe that translates into saying whatever thought pops up into their head that they need to give you on Twitter, or their opinions that they believe apply to everybody and not realizing just how isolating they can really be. And no matter what, people are going to say things that they think is right in that moment, even if that means they have to walk back the comments. Things that we saw within the last couple weeks with Roseanne Barr and Samantha Bee. Perfect examples of seemed right at the time to say. But then there are those few among us who, that they're giving their real thoughts and they have no problem really with their opinions, but they never quite seem to hop off the fence on any particular side of an issue. These are the fence sitters. And they sit there because it's easy to sit there. It's quite easy to pander and to make everybody think that you are full of all sorts of good thoughts when really what you're doing is being far too obsessed with your own self-image to actually form a thought. Someone who's a fence sitter listens to the outside communique far too much. There's somebody that will take into account what people say, if only to look better in their eyes. This is someone who's very influenced by others' opinions, and they don't want anybody to be mad at them, so they kind of form this little middle of the road kind of aspect with things. Oh, the fence sitter has opinions. Of course they do, because literally everybody in the world has an opinion on something. But like I said, the fence sitter's opinions are based what they feel like other people want for them to say versus what they really think. It's a safe bet to be. And in a world like this where we live, where things are coming to the surface And people are waking up to the bullshit in many different ways. It does no good to sit upon that fence and waffle back and forth on which side you should fall onto. In a way, I believe that being a fence sitter is almost intellectually dishonest to oneself. And by that I mean it does a total disservice to how you perceive the world. It's very helpful to us as people to have firm stances on things, especially if they are personal to us or they affect us in some way. Because you're going to know a lot about a subject that is very personal to you. You're going to be a quote-unquote expert in something. And by doing that, you can help shape other people's opinions about that subject that maybe they don't know very much about. And you're only going to sharpen your instinct, too, the more firm that you get within your own mind and your own thoughts. An interesting sort of phenomenon occurs with one of these internet folks who sit on the fence for too long. They're going to start collecting detractors from both sides of the fence. People that they have pandered to one too many times are going to start to see cracks forming in their opinions and their thoughts and the things that they choose to share with the online world. Say you're one of these people who has one time appealed to the alt-right crowd and, in a sense, the SJW crowd. I'm using extreme examples because it's just easier for me to do that right now. If you do something that everybody finds strange, then you're gonna not have anybody in your corner. And being online, it helps to have at least somebody in your corner. That's the way that we fight back online in some ways. You don't want to send your army after people, but it's nice to have people who do believe in what you're doing and can give you a fresh perspective that you, in a sense, trust. But if you're fighting back against both sides at simultaneously, then how do you have anybody in your corner? No matter what you do, when you actually form your own thought in a way, people are going to be mad. They're going to be upset that your opinion's not correct. Or they'll wonder why you're paying attention to all the quote-unquote haters and addressing them only instead of caring about the people who actually care about this person. And a lot of internet people fall into the trap. They're the folks who try to justify every little thing that goes wrong with their comments, instead of just letting them exist out there and being this strong, unflinching kind of opinion. Instead of letting that opinion hang there and letting people get upset over it and just whine it out until they find the next thing to be mad about. They have to keep justifying it and making sure that everybody's okay with how the thing was worded, when sometimes things just need to exist and be, instead of trying to make everybody your friend over a difference of opinion. Now, I can totally see why people are not comfortable with getting off the fence sometimes, because there are internet mobs out there. There are people who live to just vilify and be upset and scream that you had the wrong opinion. And in my view, the way that I see things, it seems that the liberal side of things, the left side of things, is much quicker to shun, in a way, to shun somebody that has the wrong opinion. They can agree with you on everything, except if you say one thing that's a little bit out of line, people will go crazy. They'll ask other people to not pay attention to you, to say, how dare this person say something that hit my ears incorrectly, so we must fight back. We must shun. There's really no other way to put that. They will shun. And that's where people get the image of the SJW crowd being loud and crazy and whiny over everything. The conservative side, the right side of things, I think will just more so make fun and poke fun and be kind of dickish for the sake of it, which is only going to provoke more whining, and it just becomes this cringe cycle of who's more morally superior while just being general assholes to one another. Now, I'd like to make it clear that seeing two sides of an issue doesn't make you a fence sitter. If you're able to acknowledge that somebody who has a different view has made a good point somewhere, or you can at least see where they're coming from, that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. That doesn't make you someone who has no opinion of your own. It doesn't make you someone who has no backbone or is weak-willed. You're not sitting on a fence. You're just hopping over. You're hopping onto the nice green lush grass of the other side to see what is all about. People make good points from time to time, even if they say things that you disagree with. The trick with anything is knowing when it is the right time to jump and when it is the right time to pause. People will eventually get tired of hearing someone just kind of softly wavering, oh, I don't know, I can see this, I can see that. It's at some point you just want to scream at this person and say, make a stand, have a thought already. It's not gonna hurt you. But it's also okay to not give your full insight into subjects that you're not totally aware of. I don't give you calculus information because I don't know anything about it. I don't delve into the science of things because that's not my expertise. History, for the most part, like, specific battles of the Civil War, I don't know about, so I don't make comments about them. I don't give my opinion on past instances in our history, in our American history, that have shaped the country the way it is now. I can't do that, so I don't. Why try to feign knowledge when it can only bite you in the ass? There's plenty of experts that exist online. They lurk on Reddit, they lurk on Twitter, they lurk on 4chan. There are experts, I believe, in everything. You don't know exactly what another person is doing, but you see people that come out of the woodwork and they have a specific job that relates to exactly what you are feigning your insight into. In 2018, it's the year of no bullshit. We really are cutting through it, and once we do that, things might actually get done. We'll actually start progressing. We'll actually be the change that everybody seems to be searching for. Once we cut this nonsense out and speak to one another and give our actual thoughts with one another instead of being waffly and not sure and being so frightened over possibly, maybe, you have no idea, but possibly offending somebody with the things that we say. We're smart enough as people to know what is going to make somebody upset and what is going to make them listen. That's my hope anyway. If you purposefully go out of your way to be an asshole just to be an asshole, people are going to take notice and they're going to call it out, and they're right to call that out. Progressing means having the tough conversations that make us uncomfortable and are not as softball-y as we'd like. It's the only way for us to actually grow and to actually move forward. Sometimes we need to sit in uncomfortability for a little bit. It's how cognitive behavioral therapists get their patients to face their fears, to sit with it, to sit with that awfulness, that anxiety that may build, the uncomfortability, sit with it and feel it and acknowledge it, and then know that you never want to return to that place. It's a bit of shock therapy sometimes to talk to someone who has a different opinion than you, to talk to someone who's on the different side of the aisle than you. Because if you go into that conversation with expectations, they're always going to be found out. But if you just talk and you just be and exist, you might learn something. And learning something is always a positive. Always. Most of the time a positive. Time is not standing still. Time is hurtling us forward in space. Away we go. We're nearly halfway through 2018 already. And there's nothing stopping us except for ourselves. thank you so much for listening to this episode. It was a little bit rougher for me to write it. I don't exactly know why, because I just didn't want to call people out, I guess. I'll let you choose to see who I was maybe had in mind during this podcast. I'd like to start to put together a stream schedule for you guys because I do enjoy going live and I'd love to answer your questions about the podcast or get ideas or just have a nice chat. It's always fun for me to do that. So that seems to be next on the list, as well as just doing more of these and enjoying my time hanging out with you guys. If you liked this podcast, please give it a like, please share it, and please subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to, please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and WordPress at HelloGines, or shoot an email to gina.annunziato@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to the Ginescast. I'm Gina Annunziato, and I'll see you next time. Take care.